Hello and welcome. I'm Janine Howard, founder and CEO of Profile Magazine, and today I've got an amazing woman with me that we're going to talk about a topic about you owning your style and putting it out there, because in today's day and age we have to be our brand and people are looking to connect with you from a place of authenticity and realness. So I'd like to welcome the very real, the very beautiful ALEX Curtin from Hair on Hastings today. Welcome.
Hi, Janine. How are you?
I'm so good. And, you know, we've had a little bit of a chat beforehand about
You've frozen.
it changed, hasn't it?
I am so sorry. You just froze.
Okay, just 2 seconds. So, Alex, the way that we get clients has really changed in the last few years, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Both of us. And, you know, what I want to speak into today is how you have really tuned into your own personal brand of how to get people to know, like, and trust you and create that beautiful relationship. And then what you do for women to help them do the same in their businesses. So let's first of all talk about you. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been in business, what you do with Hair on Hastings, and what it is that your passion and purpose in the world is.
Oh, huge questions, huge questions. I'm going to have to go back a bit. So my background was primarily in fashion. So in Sydney, I worked for 10 years as a hair director for Fashion Week. So I got this amazing opportunity to see how our fashion has evolved and how we're viewing ourselves as women has evolved in the last, 20 years. And then I started to see a huge change in, and I guess it's social media, it's all aspects. We are now we're on show all the time. And it's so important for us to find how we feel we look internally and be able to translate that to an external world and do it daily and look amazing and feel amazing every day. So through watching that fashion, and then I've moved up to Noosa and learned a whole new lifestyle, because in Sydney, fashion is very quick. Everybody gets their hair done all the time. And then you move up to Noosa and we have a beach lifestyle. And we the struggle bun today. And I saw when I moved up here, so many women wanted to look amazing, but felt they couldn't because of either their lifestyle, their hair type, the weather. And I, through that, started helping women work out how they could create a look for their brand, because most people up here in the sunny coast tend to work for themselves and are trying to build their business and find ways to create opportunities for themselves. In that way, you have to be on all the time, which means you have to look amazing all the time, which sometimes isn't that easy. But I work with my clients very closely to try and find ways that they can look amazing every day. That does not mean coming back to the salon every 6 weeks. Most women don't want to come back to the salon until a good 8 weeks to 3 months. And for me, that means that I have to work very closely, knowing that how they can put their hair up, how they can get their makeup looking good in like less than 5 minutes, and then staying good all day through the heat and the weather and the sun. So I came to Hair on Hastings 2 years ago. I had an amazing opportunity to open up a salon, which is a little bit out of the way. So we're hidden away in a beautiful green area. And it's more of a studio and a boutique where we get clients to come in, and it's like visiting an old friend, and we sit down and we really hash out what people want and work with them to achieve it.
And I love what you said about, you know, say, I'll give an example of myself. Like I'm a busy woman, I've got children, I've got a business, I've in fact got 2 businesses, and it is difficult for me to get to the hair salon. So when, you know, the in-between times is actually the most important thing. And this is where I think you have really nailed this. So it's not just when someone leaves the salon, they're looking amazing, right? You really, I guess, look after them for the in-between periods with a support so that they can go ahead and be camera ready at any moment to go and do the Facebook Lives. They can be ready to go out for that networking event, whether they're catching up for date night with their husband. You know, this is the part that I think you've really nailed, especially for women entrepreneurs. You know, most of us up here are entrepreneurs on the Sunshine Coast. So tell me then, why is that so important though? Because it's got more to do with just how you look, isn't it?
It is. And I think that we as women have to be totally comfortable with our internal selves and our external selves. And marrying that is sometimes not an easy thing. We're sometimes trained that if we focus too much on the external, we're vain, we're self-centered, you're caring about the wrong things. Yes, internally that's important, but it's also externally. When you look in the mirror and you feel good, you pop. You walk around with like a hop in your step, you smile at people, you're engaging more than when you perhaps don't feel so great, you're sort of head down, avoiding people, and you don't have the energy. I think that women are starting to accept and embrace the fact that looking good on the outside is important and it makes you feel good, and it's nothing to be frowned at. You should embrace your inner self, but sometimes it is hard to get somebody who can see that and work with you to what you want to achieve, because sometimes we don't know, and the biggest issue that we tend to have, and we find with clients they have, is when they get into the salon, they've been in a situation where they get rushed through the consultation. So what do you want done today? Let's have this, rah, rah, rah. Instead, it's the most important time to sit down with someone and find out how they're feeling. How are you feeling today? What's happening with you in your life? You've been to the beach all weekend. That tells me that they're not going to be at home washing and blow drying their hair every day. They have got 3 kids. They are busy. They haven't stopped since they got there, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they ate last meal was breakfast. So it gives me an idea of their time management. So it's about building a relationship with the client. Most of my clients become more friends of mine than they are clients. It's like catching up with old friends every time, and having honesty in that relationship is very important too. Sometimes as clients, I feel they don't feel they can be honest with their stylist because they don't want to hurt our feelings or anything like that. While open communication is so important about how you're feeling. Is that working? What's happening there? Did it suck? Sometimes, you go on a journey, it doesn't work, but you got to try the journey. And I think it's so important to have a relationship where I can see you and I can help you see you.
Which brings me to 2 really important points. And I want to stay on this point for a moment, that it's in this day and age, we live in such a noisy environment. So there's social media and emails and advertising and all of that put towards us. But what we're finding is that we're actually going back, aren't we, in the way that we do business?
Yeah.
Which is back to relationship building, isn't it?
Yeah, so much so. And that's another thing that a lot of my clients find. They end up networking in the salon. I can guarantee the amount of times that my clients end up chatting with other clients and end up networking in so many other ways. And that amazing moment of that empowerment of people just chatting and going, yeah, and getting each other it's fantastic. And I think like attracts like. And so the type of people who are attracted to you are the same tribe, as it were. And it's so important in building a business these days to find your tribe, to find your people, to find who they are and connect with them. And I think sometimes with social media, it's easier, like so much easier, but it's also nice to have that human connection.
Definitely. And I think that that's one thing that you've done really well in your business is your business is literally built off relationships.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. I mean, this is, I don't want to, it's a bit weird, but we're all the ladies who work in the business are mums. We all have busy lifestyles, and we all support each other. It's an amazing empowering sort of space to be in when you are all there to build each other up. The clients are there to build you up, and you're there to build them up, and you build each other up by working together. And it just makes you leave every day feeling so energized. It also is great because we have so much empathy for each other. We're all going through the same things. We all have a couple of kids. My clients all have a couple of kids. Everybody who works with me has a couple of kids. So and it's such a supportive environment, and it's so understanding, and it's an amazing place to be in work and personal life.
And so then I want to go back to another point before, which I think is really important that we really ground into this. You were talking about how, you know, one of the things that you do and your business does brilliantly is help to women to really define their style and to really be able to, on a daily basis, show up with that style in their authenticity and their uniqueness.
Yes.
And so this conversation is well beyond looking good. It's well beyond just, you know, style and fashion and all of that. And that's probably where a lot of people start. But I would love for you to speak into a little bit more about why is that so important for someone to be able to show themselves authentically and express themselves with their style? Why is that important?
I think that more and more people have had enough of the package. You know, we have our PR people, we have our people who do our monthly photos, and we always look amazing. I know that there is a backlash coming through social media for that. People want to look at you as you. They want to see you being you, reflecting who you are. Now, that could be in jeans and a sweatshirt, and if that's you, you should show up looking in that, but your hair and your makeup should reflect that beautifully. And I think that getting dressed in a certain way to sell something, people sometimes now have the feeling that's false. They want people to be who they are because they feel like they can trust that person, that they can see something intimate almost in them, that they can see the real person. And that's what people want, real connections, other than just the superficial. They want a real connection. They want to relate to them. I can feel that way. And it also gives people permission to be authentic, because there's so much pressure on us to be perfect all the time, and we don't have to be, but it is nice if you can feel good all the time. And I think that being authentic does that. Feeling good, embracing who you are, what you want to portray every day. And I think it's getting more and more important every year.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, being a reformed and reforming, I always felt pressure, especially being a magazine editor. I always felt pressure to have the amazing photo shoots. And, you know, I've had photo shoots all around the world, Paris and Florence, and I'm still often in San Diego and LA and stuff and having photo shoots there. But now I'm trying to really figure out, like, who am I to be showing to people to drop down out of that perfectionist level, because perfectionism doesn't permeate. You know, it's, I'll give you an example. One of my coaches that works in my business under me with our iconic empires, she said to me, "Oh my God, I didn't know that you had chickens, and that, you know, you're quite often downstairs in your bare feet with a chicken under one arm and, you know, a child under the other." She said, "That's such a beautiful image to see, but you never show that." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I actually don't." But she said the power behind that would be incredible, that people would drop you down from a pedestal and connect with you more. And so, you know, what you're saying here about women who are themselves but trying to mold into what is deemed to be perfect, gorgeous, etc., is actually moving away. We don't want to see that. Your clients don't want to see that.
Huge backlash. And I think that also we're seeing a move away in social media for the stylized photos. Yes, people still want to see the beautiful images. Yes, they really do. I want to see beautiful images, but they also want to see the real images of what's happening in your life. And I think that gives people, it brings them, by them connecting to you in a real way about everyday life, brings you into their thought processes more often. Instead of just that small area, it brings them into every part of their life. You know, it gives them extra triggers. It's like using all your brains at once. Instead of just this one area, you're using the whole. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I totally agree with you. I would love to see a picture of you with your chicken and your child under one arm. I have geese, so I can relate. So, yeah, I have a lot of animals. But yeah, and I think it's hard, especially being on your side, and I know my side. I'm having myself social media issues because I want to start bringing that in, and it is a balance between how do you bring that personal piece of you into a professional page. And I think that's also a really good thing to be looking at, how you can link it back to your professional area, that personal part of you.
So tell me then, like, if you have a client that comes in and she's, you know, disconnected from her own style, like, what sort of process do you go through with her to get her to show up authentically?
It's a lot of conversation. It is a really good question. It is about connection. It is about really asking hard questions sometimes. And a lot of the time it's not asking. A lot of people get asked what they don't like when they sit in the chair. What don't you like? And they say, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. But asking someone what they love, putting it in a positive. What do you love? What makes you happy? What brings a smile onto your face? When you look at that picture, how do you feel? You know, because it gives you a guide to what makes them happy and what makes what they're attracted to. Does that make sense? Instead of going, I hate this. This looks awful. I had this hairdresser once and I had this makeup artist and they made me look like a drag queen. And we can talk about that for hours. It's so much fun. But talking to people about what they love. What do they love when they see someone? Like, do they like that bouncy high pony? How do they, you know, do they want to be able to whack their hair up in 5 minutes? Yeah, power pony, you go, girl. You know, it's about, well, no, but you know what? Having a bouncy pony some days can make you feel fantastic. You need to add a scarf to that, though. I mean, a scarf would be just, you'd be popping. Yeah, a big scarf. Scarves are in. They're going to save us all, mums.
Yeah.
But it is things like that. Scarves are in. It's telling people how to make themselves feel like, you know, you've got those beautiful earrings on, and how do we bring that into their hair? You look at what people are wearing, how they're reflecting themselves through their body, and then you try and bring that in with their hair. It's not about what's in fashion. It's about what they've got, what they can achieve, and what they love, and then bringing that all together.
And I've heard you say before that we're kind of going back in fashion, like we're going back to more timelessness and elegance. Is that right?
Yes, completely. Bad fashion is leaving us. And what I love the most is the young people are embracing this first. I mean, you see all these beautiful young ladies walking the streets these days with the gorgeous high-waist jeans and your little bobby socks and sneakers. But then you'll see your hippie, your flowy skirts, all that sort of stuff. And I think that we're coming to a time in fashion where we are embracing as women what suits us. We are leaving behind what happened last year. You know, when we all had the Jennifer Aniston haircut, when we all had, you know, the Elle Macpherson blow dry. And we are now going to a stage where we're finding fashion that's lasting us for years because it helps us define who we are. There is a French tradition, as it were, with French women, and they find something they like and they know they look amazing in it, and they will wear that repeatedly. They will wear it often because they know they look good and they feel good in it. And I think that we're getting to that place in fashion. We know what we look good in. We're happy to wear it more often. We're happy to wear it for a longer period of time, and we're happy to find what works for us and build a signature wardrobe, as it were, around that. but what is important is that carries through to the hair, to the makeup, to how you look, how you feel.
I love that, because I remember when I was 13 and, you know, it's all about externalizing. I was idolizing Daphne from Neighbours.
Oh yeah, I remember Daphne. Yes, she was fabulous.
I love Daphne. But nobody told me to not get the Daphne haircut. I literally cut off my gorgeous long blonde hair into like this boyish kind of spike with
Oh, that
little
was being
tail.
so nice and buffy.
It was hideous. It was terrible, you know, and I'm making fun out of that. But it's kind of like, we're getting to a day and age where we've got to stop externalizing. We've got to stop looking at someone else like the Jennifer Anistons and going, oh, I want her look. I want to be like her. It's actually all got to crumble away and just become who you are and embrace that in all.
And I think that we're seeing more and more that with the more authentic people are, and the more they embrace who they are and what they actually like, not what's in fashion, what you actually like. And taking that on board and learning to like yourself and want to dress and reflect who you are. I think the more we do that, the more empowerment we have. And I think it's wonderful because we're seeing more and more women of all genres, of all areas, like from celebrities to your average person, putting real themselves out there. And I look forward to that because I love women. I think that we're an amazing culture, and I think that we've got this opportunity where we are now in the world to support each other and build each other up, because we've been through the 80s and the 90s of the power women, you know, take everybody down, we're gonna beat it all, and we are now in a place where we want to support each other to bring all of us up, and that is an amazing place to be. I'm looking forward to the next 10 years as a woman. Is going to be amazing.
Totally. I always say that 2020 is the year of the feminine, and in fact I will say the next decade is the decade of the feminine. And what I mean by that is it's not about the female, but it's about all of the feminine qualities are coming through. They're rising up. And those qualities are things like connection, authenticity, trust, collaboration, you know, very much oneness. And I will also say too, that going back to the fashion side of thing, I truly believe that femininity is about owning your style and not being externalizing yourself to someone else, which then in turn does things like move us towards slow fashion movement.
Yes.
You know, we're, you know, this day and age of like fast fashion and throwaway society is actually starting to leave us. And that's what I would call being in the feminine.
Yeah. And it's, I think for so long, women have been basically, if you are in business, your feminine side is not something that you expose. But now that we have all this support, I mean, it's something we really were quite embarrassed of. We wore high heels, but, you know, with very masculine suits, and, you know, it was all very power dress, very strong. But now we're allowing ourselves to be ourselves in our business. You do not have to get dressed up to go to work. You can be yourself because you are still you. Nobody else can do what you do. You are exceptional. Every single different woman is exceptional. And I was so lucky. I did a lot of training overseas and all through Australia. And one of the things I learned doing a lot of work with a lot of people was you can show somebody exactly what you're doing. But as soon as you do that, they take it and they make it their own. And in that moment, it is theirs. And then they build it up. So, I mean, we have gone from this time in the past where we owned everything so much and we were so afraid to share information and basically everything, to a point where now we realize sharing is important because nobody can do what you do. You are exceptional on your own, but you just have to find your own voice. And I think as women, that's so important. And I really do help. I think I do. I really help women find their voice in themselves and help them externalize it.
And who would have thought, you know, who would have said this woman's just a hairdresser? You know, this is not about hair. It's not about beauty. It's not about style. Like, at the core of you, Alex, is this woman who is really there to empower other women to really get out there in the world and be who they're meant to be through authenticity, through relationships and connection. You know, it's extremely powerful. And like you actually recommended for us to interview because of those relationships that you had cultivated. So it's an honor to be interviewing you today. And so, in the name of sharing, what I'd love to sort of close out our interview on today is, could you share with women some of your, I guess, tips on how to own your authenticity, and some styling tips? I mean, I'm all ears. I'm listening. I love my scarf idea. I'm going to add that.
It is so simple. Things like scarves and accessorizing your hair. It is another way to translate who you are, and especially where to begin. You've asked me I could go on for hours. How do I McNugget this into a really good? Oh, you've stumped me for the first time. You've stumped me. Yeah. Okay, so yes. I think
that's my name.
I'm traumatized now. I think that really spend some time looking at yourself in the mirror, like real time looking at yourself in the mirror. And that is really hard for us as women, because we generally avoid looking at ourselves and sit there and look at your face shape and what I do during a consultation is I will get my hands in your hair. I will pull it up. I will pull it back. I will pull it to the side. Work with your hair to see where it emphasizes you, and really look critically at yourself at what works for you. You know, bring hair around your face, mess it, make it big, make it small. Act like you're a child. Find your inner self. You remember when we were kids and we do crazy makeup and then we do weird things with our hair, and it was so much fun. But in that journey, in that fun journey, comes discovery of what we like about ourselves and how we want to look. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And, you know, it's interesting that you say one of your tips is for us to actually look in the mirror. I'm a coach, so I deal with women and their emotions all of the time. And one of the things I recommend to women is actually to do the Louise Hay mirror work, which is going into the mirror on a daily basis and telling yourself, I love you.
Yeah.
And it is so confronting for women. So getting them to go back to that childlike place and do it from fun and freedom actually breaks down a lot of those barriers.
It does. It really does. And it opens you up, because I mean, we see so many gorgeous young girls. I mean, I'm in my late 40s. I'm up there. So, and I know I see so many gorgeous girls walking down the street from me, and I'll look at that girl. It's amazing. Or I'll see on Instagram something I really love, but I won't ever spend the time to do it on myself unless I sit down and have one of those times I usually do it with my daughter. I do have to be honest. I have a 9-year-old. And we'll sit there together and she'll go, oh, Mum, try this and try this. And we have the most fun, but we have also a really great time liking ourselves and embracing ourselves. But also you do have these amazing discoveries of going, oh, I would have never done that. That, you know what? That actually looks good. I'm rocking that. And so it's easy for someone to tell you how to do your hair, but it's also important that you learn how to see yourself in a way that you can see complementary things and fun things as well.
Beautiful. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. If there's people listening to this who go, oh my God, this Alex woman, hair and Hastings, I've got to get there. You know, what's the process to book in with you?
Well, for just a style, let's say you just wanted to come in for a little trim. I would book about an hour and a half to an hour 45 for your first booking. Unless you're one of those ladies who goes, no, I don't have time. I need to be in and out in like 45 minutes, which I can power pack it as well. But I think it's important for your first visit, if you want to if you really want to look at styling and branding, it's important to invest your time in yourself, because a lot of women, they just want to get in and out, and that's fantastic, but you're never going to get what you want out of that. You need to invest the time and know what you want to get leaving the salon. And that takes a lot of conversation. So you have to be a little bit willing to open up and have a chat and work towards something and find out where you could go, and be open to the journey.
I love that.
Just give me a call.
Yeah, and it's so important that, you know, our hair, our makeup, our clothing, everything is a external representation of who we are on the inside. So therefore, invest time and energy into that. So where can people find you?
Go and have a look at my website at haironhastings.com.au, or our Instagram page, which, yes, it has not been very active because of the awful fires that we're suffering. I've shut down my Instagram page lately, and I will be coming back to that. But at the moment, we're at our website at haironhastings.com.au, so you can just contact us through that.
Awesome. Awesome, Alex. And thank you so much for your time and energy today. And, you know, thank you for the people listening today to really hear that message that you have to say, that it's really about you showing your authentic self in a style that works for you, so that you can actually develop really deep relationships and connections, and therefore grow your business and brand.
Sounds so much better coming out of you. Could you just do all my talking, please?
It's coming out of you to me to share with the world. So
thank you.
Lovely to have you here, Alex. Any last words before we go today?
No, I just got to say, this was the most fun half an hour I've had all week. So thank you so much.
Well, you're on the other side this time, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, having to talk about me is a bit hard, but you've made it wonderful. Thank you so much.
So good to have you today. All right. Thanks so much, Alex.
Have a great one. Bye.